Hello and welcome to the 2010 C63 AMG. My name is Scott and welcome to Taste for the Road. So this is a new project that focuses on several passions: cars and motorbikes, good food, indie coffee shops, family-owned wineries and the like, a little bit of history, and some great driving roads. The goal of all of these reviews here on YouTube and on tastefortheroad.com is to encourage you to try something new or to see something that you do know in a new way and then share that with us in the comments below. With these reviews, you're always the hero of the story and you're always going to get to wear the superhero cape, not myself. I don't see a lot of that on YouTube, and we need to change that together. Currently, we are just outside of Charlottesville, Virginia in Greene County on Route 810, which is a byway to, or a historic byway to be here in Greene County. And once we cross over, it becomes a Virginia byway, and it's a great piece of tarmac to evaluate this C63. So we'll be heading west and then south, drop into Charlottesville for some lunch at Sultan Kebab. It's a Turkish place you should definitely know about if you happen to be driving in the area or come to visit. And then we're going to be finishing out on our second half down in the southern part of the county on Route 708, known as Secretary's Road, also a Virginia byway. Absolutely, if you're a car enthusiast, bike enthusiast, etc., it is a wonderful piece of pavement, as well as some of the other surrounding roads in that particular area too. So what is this C63 like to drive? I've had it for a few hours now and had a chance to really put it through some paces on some wonderful back roads here. And the obvious first place to start is around that M156 AMG motor. The very first that AMG designed from scratch. And you can just really feel the wonderful German goodness of 6.2 liters of spinning metal and bits and magnesium and whatnot. Official figures, 451 horsepower. This is the base model. 443 foot-pounds of torque and a 0 to 60 time of a little over 4 seconds. All of it very relevant today and certainly very enjoyable. But it doesn't really at all convey just the sense of force and power that you have, the enormous amount of torque that comes on at 2,000 RPM and just swings its way through the rev range. It's a wonderful thing to behold. It sounds absolutely fantastic. In fact, let's listen to that right now. What's also, I think, impressive about this is not just its straight line performance, but that in conjunction with the chassis and so forth, it's really, even 9 years on, quite a sophisticated package. And from an NVH standpoint, that has been the surprise so far, definitely, has been that it is a very cohesive car, and that with all the windows rolled up and the RPM down at a regular interval, letting it do its automatic thing, it's really quite peaceful and quiet in here. It soaks up bumps in very, very nice ways. It's a very, very nice place to be. Extending that out into the interior, very classic Mercedes for the period. Good quality materials overall, black plastic of course on the top, and then different layered materials below that, in this case in light gray. As you can see, the car is white on the outside. Plastics in the middle along the center here, not so much, but again, classic Mercedes-Benz for the period in time. You can just see it's in looking at their current lineup, looking at Audi, looking at other competitors, just how much the game has absolutely moved on as a consequence, and of a consequence of almost a decade. But the materials still fit together really very, very tightly, and that is, I think, again, a testament to the base car and Mercedes-Benz always focusing on build quality and focusing on, just a good and elegant place to be. Also noteworthy on the interior is really just the visibility. It's wonderful to be in an older car that has just a really nice glass to belt line or metal area here. Unlike a lot of new products where, again, the belt line is so high you feel like you're stuck in a turret and it gets very tight and dark. This is simply not the case. I'm not the tallest guy in the world. I'm only 5'7", and I haven't needed to push the seat up, and I can just see all the way around me beautifully. And it's just in conjunction, with its really nice size. It's a real weapon when you can go ahead and just point it where exactly you want. I can see everything around me. The mirrors are in a great location and don't obstruct any type of view towards the road. It's a thing that I really miss in some of the new products where, again, you're just forced to really feel quite closed in and then just make adjustments, which is less than ideal. So we are just outside of Charlottesville. The Human could use some refueling at this point, and good food is definitely very much part of this project. So let's head on over to Sultan Kebab and enjoy a nice lunch, and then continue with the review of this C63. That was a nice lunch. I ended up ordering a Turkish pizza called lama güve, which is a very thin style pizza with some ground beef and various seasonings, a little bit of salad actually. So you spread that out, squirt it with a little bit of lemon, and then go ahead and roll it up and eat it almost like a gyro. I had a bit of space left, so I ordered kunefe for dessert, which is a layer of mozzarella wrapped in a combination of rice and a sweetened syrup, very much like baklava, if you're familiar with that, and some pistachios on top. Really snuck up on me, the richness, but it was excellent. On a previous trip, I had chicken kebab with baklava for dessert and a Turkish from Thrace semyon, which was also very good. I'll put a full review, of course, will be on A Taste for the Road, and I'll put a link to it at the bottom. You should definitely, check out Sultan Kebab. The folks are really nice, and they do a lovely job. You know, as an emotional device and as something to just kind of really experience, this C63, the W204, has definitely not disappointed. That motor, as I mentioned just a little bit ago, is really just a wonderful and magical thing. What's great about it too is this is a car that really provides an enormous amount of feedback. It's very, very talkative. Reminds me of my Ducati actually. And whether it's through the steering wheel a little bit, nothing ever untoward, or through the pedals, even in the seat here, it's just been just one reward or wave after another of just letting me know where things are, what it's doing, and where it happens to be with respect to horsepower and torque. Even if I have no idea based on the RPM exactly where the numbers are, it simply doesn't matter. And I think with the other styling changes around, it has that DTM look based on the period of time in which this was raced competitively. It really has that feel to it. It's butched out a little bit, but still tasteful. And I think in white even, it's quite discreet with the bulges around the hood, both hood and as well around the wheels and so forth. It's just, even walking up to it without the engine ticking over, it makes you feel special, and it makes you feel as though you're in something unique, which is great. The suspension also needs to get some extra positive notes here. This was a period in time where a manufacturer would come up with one setting for the suspension. It wasn't set for the Nordschleife and maximum times, it was set for road use. And this has been firm today without question, but it's also been really quite compliant and complemented the other areas of the chassis, the engine, and it's really just worked together very nicely as a whole, as I hoped that it would. I think probably the 18-inch rims play a role instead of having the much larger now that are current, 20s and 21s and whatnot. But still, it's really been rewarding and been very, just a very nice experience that I wasn't quite sure what to expect, and in no way have been disappointed. In the areas where it struggles or where it might be lacking, there are a couple. The biggest mechanical challenge, of course, is this automatic transmission, which in automatic mode, just floating along, or even in traffic a little bit ago, obviously I was in Charlottesville itself, it really is okay, but the shifts are very slow when you want to go ahead and kind of get on it. There is something called Pedal Commander, which can go ahead and remap the transmission a bit, and really does improve things a lot. There's folks out there, both here in the States as well as on the European continent, who have really very nice things to say about it. But it's hard to get away from how much has progressed, both in just regular torque converter automatic transmissions, to say nothing of the twin clutch gearboxes, and this really does feel a bit dated. It's probably the biggest piece or component that absolutely dates this car, that is, you just have to go ahead and note it. Obviously some of the plastics are a bit weak, and probably elsewhere, not so much here in the States, but in other markets where fuel is very expensive, she does have a drinking problem. I have been pretty responsible today, and the gas gauge is already at under a half a tank, so it absolutely does have a thirst. Around the topic of competition in the secondary market, I think it's an interesting question, because obviously the M3 comes to mind in both coupe and sedan form. The XFR by Jaguar, a bigger car, more expensive, but also a four-door sedan, and one that with a power-to-weight ratio that is really quite similar to this. But I think, what's interesting is that in the new marketplace, obviously BMW, Audi, Mercedes-Benz walk all over each other to try and create a conquer sale. In the secondary market, it's definitely settled out, where you'd see, I think, less cross-shopping, where BMW men and women, they really want the BMW. Or for those who want the Mercedes and that particular motor, there's going to be a lot less cross-shopping. I think a good comparison, or a good competition, if you will, is the XFR, which is like-minded. Automatic transmission, rear-wheel drive, big, huge V8 motor. It's a heavier car, but one that generates some pretty spectacular noises, and is, by all accounts, a very enjoyable device to rip down a road with, or even just to putter off to the shops or take kids to school, etc. And they're a little bit more expensive, but nevertheless, I think it's an interesting comparison and great for cross-shopping. Finally, around the topic of value. So this is a 2010 with about 58,000 miles, a little bit more than that. And as I always do ahead of a review like this, I always go check Auto Trader and some other places as well. This would sell for about $30,000 to $32,000. The owner's actually the second owner, and takes it for dealer service. And it's in overall very nice condition. I've seen some in the 20s, but of course they had more mileage and perhaps a more checkered service history. But what I find really compelling about this car, and why I wanted to review it for A Taste for the Road, is because I think it's going to be a future classic. This M156 engine is a one-off, essentially, and the very first that AMG designed themselves. They also altered the bodywork significantly, and in a number of people's eyes, this is the first, if you will, quote-unquote, real AMG. The one that really kind of set the pace for other products to follow. And this 6.2-liter motor isn't produced anymore, quite obviously. This isn't ever going to be made again. And I think a very good case could be made that this is a very unique product that were produced in enough numbers that if you wanted to go out and buy one, as you can for, we'll say, if it were a Cherry 35 and downward, that you would really find just a very compelling package, one that would be, in 5 years' time, or maybe more if you're someone who holds on to something, that you really have a car that is quite special in so many areas, and that we'll just simply never see again. And so I think that really sums up this W204 C63 AMG. It's been a real pleasure today to take it outside of the you call it rolling hills of Charlottesville, Virginia, and get a real taste and feel for what it is. It's a deeply soulful machine that really just always is communicating and talking and, celebrating its best attributes, whether it's this engine or actually some steering feel and chassis compliance and whatnot. I can absolutely understand why the current owner of this is really quite smitten with it, and why other people over the years have really celebrated talking about this 204 with the M156 engine as just being a special combination. And I would just have to agree. We're never going to see something like this again. And for what this is and the performance that it offers, it's a remarkably, I think, attainable and affordable thing, but will not be forever. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please give it a thumbs up if you can. Subscribe if you enjoy being alerted to new videos as they become available. If you don't have a Gmail account, head over to atastefortheroad.com. I do have a newsletter, and I always send out a notice once a new video and reviews, written reviews go ahead and drop. Most importantly, please go out and create your own adventure. See something that you do know in a new way or something new, and then share that with us in the comments below. It's really important for building the community. And so with that, I think I will go ahead and bid you adieu, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao.